Hey! Oh, waiting for live signal. How are we looking, guys?
Are we there?
I look fantastic. I don't know about you.
You look marvelous.
Simply marvelous.
Marvelous. There we go. All right. Hey, good evening, everybody. And welcome back to our Sunday night offering of Astronomy Outreach, the Sunday Night Astronomy Show.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Hey.
Yay!
Here you go.
Sounds like one of those Muppets.
Yo, Kermit. Yay!
Yeah, the army. Okay. Well, hey, anyway, my name is Chris Gerwin of Astronomy by the Bay, and I'm a member of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada here in St. John. First of all, I'd like to welcome back our regular co-host, fellow RASC member, Mr. Paul Owen from the Moon Shadow Observatory this week in Hampton, New Brunswick. Hey, Paul.
I'm being followed by a moon shadow.
Moon shadow. Oh.
And fellow RASC member, Mr. Mike Powell from the PFO Observatory here in St. John. Hey, Mike.
Hey.
Evening.
It is.
Jamie says she just get in from observing outside, trying to thaw out. I bet, Jamie. Good for you. Get clear skies, though. That's awesome. Good to hear. Hello, all from Northern California. Hey, Chris. Good evening.
Wow.
Everybody on Facebook land as well. Good evening, everybody.
Warm down there.
Yeah. Not as cold, probably. Okay, so on tonight's episode of the Sunday Night Astronomy Show, we have another 6 topics again to cover tonight. In our Gearbox segment, Mike will be offering his thoughts on the Palazzo, not falafel.
A colossal.
Palazzo Eyepiece. Okay, and from there, Paul's astrophotography tip of the week is described by Paul as being where to find those dust bunnies.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like it. Don't know what that's all about, but we'll find
Follow
out.
my cat.
Yeah. Anyway, then Vinyl Bud will be back with another target. This week he's going to introduce the Mini Orion.
Teeny one.
Mini Orion.
Teeny one.
Crush your head. Crush your head.
Teeny one.
Anyway, and then Paul's going to return again with another interesting Rosanna fun fact as well. I'll be offering a talk, another Astronomy in 5 Minutes segment, a third of our discussion around the motions of our moon. And we'll have a look at what's in store in the night sky over the next week, besides the clouds. Probably isn't going to be not but the clouds, but anyway. Of course, we'll also have all of your wonderful photos to share. So sit back, grab your favorite beverage or snack, and enjoy. And remember, this is a family-friendly live broadcast, so if you have any questions about the night sky or astronomy equipment in general, we're happy to try to answer them here for you. So let's get started with our program. Howdy, Harold. Hey, Harold from San Diego.
Hey, Harold.
Here. Awesome. I think I have that program figured out for the photos, so we're going to give that a try. I did a really rush course on it here about 10 minutes before we started there, so we'll see. Hopefully they'll come out. Anyway, let's get over to what's going to come up first. I guess it's going to be our Gearbox talk first. Mike, that would be you, sir. So we're going to turn it over to Mike here. Turn the mic to Mike. Here's Mikey.
Blum blum. Hopefully we'll have a gearbox here.
There it is.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. What I was supposed to do last week, I will do this week. Not like we're going backwards. Tonight's gearbox talk is about the Palazzo Eyepiece. Now, what is the Palazzo Eyepiece? Well, designed by Georg Simon Palazzo in 1860, a Palazzo Eyepiece comprises 4 glass elements arranged in 2 back-to-back achromatic doublets, or in other words, 2 pairs of 2 glass lenses. These eyepieces produce a standard apparent field of view between 50 degrees and 56 degrees, with most set at around 52 degrees. These general purpose design gives good color correction and an adequate field of view at a reasonable cost, and they are often bundled with new telescopes. So the Palazzo Eyepiece was an obscure design actually up until the 1980s, when astronomical equipment manufacturers started selling redesigned versions of it. Today, it's a very popular design on the amateur astronomical market, where the name Palazzo covers a wide range of eyepieces with at least 4 optical elements. This eyepiece is one of the more expensive, actually, to manufacture because of the quality of glass and the need for a well-matched convex-concave lens to prevent internal reflections. And due to this fact, the quality of different Palazzo eyepieces vary. There are notable differences between the cheap Plazzos with the simplest of anti-reflection coatings and the well-made ones. So what are the pros and cons of a Palazzo eyepiece quickly? Well, the pro is this eyepiece is ideal for a variety of observational purposes, including deep sky and planetary viewing, and they're lower cost than other specialized eyepieces. The Palazzo cons are, especially at shorter focal lengths, they suffer from short eye relief, which is a measure of how close to the eyepiece you have to place your eye in order to see the full field of view. And the short eye relief is more critical in short focal lengths below 2 or 10 millimeter, when the viewing can become very uncomfortable, especially for those people that wear glasses. So here's just some quick examples of the difference in Palazzo eyepieces. Celestron sells a nice Palazzo eyepiece kit, and they're an average good Palazzo to start with. Same with Mead, they come out with a good set. This one down here is a little bit lower end set. They're cheaper, but they suit the purpose. And then, of course, you can move up to the high quality stuff like Teleview, which are super well corrected and really, really good optics. But the price range between a cheap Palazzo and an expensive Palazzo is actually very wide. You know, they can go from $20 a piece to $300 a piece. So, you know, there's a wide range of Palazzo. Now, after all the years that I've been doing this and looking through eyepieces and around, I came across a Palazzo that I would say if you could get your hands on one, definitely buy it. They were considered a lower end, but they were extremely well made, and they were called a Pro Optic eyepiece. I ended up getting the whole set. The company, unfortunately, is no longer in business, but you can still pick them up on the used astronomy markets like Astromart or the Canadian buy and sell site and so on. But if you get an opportunity to find, or if you find a Pro Optic Palazzo and the price is around $30, buy it. You're getting a really, really good Palazzo eyepiece for the price. They actually have, I think it's a 56-degree field of view. And if I was to pick one to say, you know, something, if you can find them in a good price range, buy this type. So that's my pick of the week is the Pro Optic Palazzo. And remember, all optics have to be cleaned at some point. Well, Gary Perkins is the low man in the totem pole at the observatory. So,
yeah, low man in the totem pole.
That's like your box talk.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. So you recommend Palazzos?
I recommend the Pro Optic Palazzo. I would recommend Teleview Palazzo. Like, Palazzo's a good all-around eyepiece, right? It's a good starter eyepiece. But if you're going to stick with Palazzos and you want a good Palazzo for a good price, a good quality one for a good price, I think the Pro Optic one is one of the better ones out there. It's not Teleview, but it's far better than the generic Palazzos that you would get, you know, when you purchase a scope.
I've seen you use those at star parties, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do give a nice view. Absolutely.
And they're sharp from side to side. Like,
yeah.
There's no deformations, no nothing, good color correction, everything. I really like the Pro Optic.
Lisa says she purchased the Celestron set. So far, so good. She says it seems to cover my needs, though I would like something around 25 millimeter. And you're probably going to like something around 40 millimeter too, Lisa, with that C8 that you have. The 40 will get you the whole moon in the eyepiece. And it takes about a 40 to get that to happen. But I use the 40 a lot with my refractor. What's that?
I say I'm the 40 and 50 millimeter king.
Yeah,
that's my role.
Yeah, you are, yeah. I use the 40 a lot with my small refractor when I'm offering the live views of the moon and stuff. Jamie says I really like my Orion Sirius Palazzo 17 mil.
Yep.
Chris asked, do Palazzos perform any better or worse with a Barlow?
I haven't run into any issues with using a Palazzo and a Barlow. Seems to work well. You know, I strictly use the Pro Optic Plaza now, and they're the ones I fell in love with, and I sold the rest of mine off. So
Okay.
I'm kind of leaning toward that anyway.
Yeah.
They work well with everything.
I use a set of Orion Plazos, actually 2 sets, in my Bino viewers, and I love them.
Yeah.
No, Plazos are good eyepiece around.
Yeah, a nice big piece of glass, and
Yeah.
I like it.
Lisa says it has a 40 millimeter in a kit. Yeah, there you go, Lisa. So, the 25 is what you're looking for. Yeah. So the 40 does do a nice job on the moon. I know. Thanks, Mike. Never know what the Palazzo was really till now. There you go. Okay, so let's move on to Paul's going to give us our astro tip of the week. I'm kind of interested in this dust bunnies thing, so let's see what happens here.
Anything to do with bunnies.
You gotta like your pet. All right, let me see if I can make this happen. Number one, let's hang on. I'm going to see which way this is all going to go, and if I do it here, yeah, okay, it should be okay to do it there. Then I can look over here. All right, let's cross our fingers, see if it works. Okay.
We don't get a dust bunny.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to open this with something that was actually posted on one of the sites that I kind of follow about HD optics, about a fellow who just bought a scope. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because there's a lot of people out there who are just getting into the telescope world, or just getting into taking pictures, and they're trying to find their best telescope, to take the pictures with, and then they run into things that they weren't expecting. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to cover that first, and I'll wait for it to come up there, and let me know when it's.
You got it.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Lots of UFOs.
So here's the thing. It's this gentleman said, and I'll explain the picture in a minute. He says, I purchased an Edge HD 800 on cloudy nights, and I took it out for the first time to check it out. This is a sub. This is another what you're looking at. This is a photograph with way too many dust bunnies. The scope was supposed to be, I think was the word it's supposed to say there. The scope was supposed to be 5 or 6 months old and only used once. How do I fix this and don't say flats? This is way too many. So how many times have we all, when I first started, and I had the same issue, and I had the same things like, oh my gosh, I've got to go ahead and clean my optics because first of all, I didn't know what I was looking at. But secondly, we'll get into that. So let's get into that just a little bit. And tell me if this picture changes. Yeah, it does. Okay. So have you ever taken a photograph, just, of the landscape, and you see all this stuff on your screen? I think we all have, right? Or have you taken a photograph and seen this kind of thing on your screen? So you get all those kind of out of focus little blobs all over the place, right? So, there we go. Or have you taken an astro photo and have seen something like this, and you're saying to yourself, what in God's green earth is this?
That's me.
And those are, they can be a number of things. They can be dust that is in your system. They could be condensation. It could be a lot of different things, and we'll cover a little bit of what that is. This is a mirror that belongs to our co-host here, Mike Powell from PAFO. And actually, Chris, you're not innocent in this because this scope belonged to you first.
Yep.
Here is a mirror from a 10-inch Dobsonian that when you take a look down in it and put a flashlight in it, this is what you might see. And you're going to say to yourself, oh my good God, what is that? Yeah. Well, don't be afraid yet. Here's another mirror that has a very great look to it. But yet things like this scare people to death. And I think, oh my gosh, this must be it. Here's an example of a refractor that's got a whole bunch of fungus. There's fungus among this on this objective lens. And you would think, oh my gosh, I'm going to have terrible pictures because of this. And look at this camera lens. This thing gets smashed right in the center. And you think, my God, I've got to throw that away. That's just trash. And here's a telescope that I own that has this, and this isn't on the outside. This is on the inside. What happened is that Petzl lens, correcting lens in the back of the telescope came loose, fell forward, and moved around on the inside of this and scratched it all the bejeebers, right? And you would think, oh my gosh, I got to throw this expensive telescope away. Well, here is an image from that very telescope. Here is another image from that very telescope. And yet another image from that very telescope. And yet you see none of those aberrations that we saw in the beginning, with all those little dots and all those funny things. And the reason that you don't see them in this case is because if you happen to have those little dust bunnies coming up on your picture, it's not the objective, it's not the primaries or the lens in the front of your telescope that these are coming from. So basically, I'll get back to that one. Where these things come from is your optical train or your image train. So because what happens is with those larger objectives like Mike's mirror, my lens, and all that kind of stuff, when you're actually focused on something and looking at something through an eyepiece, and that's all there is, and you're going right through that lens, you're looking right through that lens. You're not looking at that spot on the lens. You're not stopping there. You're looking right through it, and you're looking right at your whatever the object is in the thing in the sky. And so all you're getting, if you got anything at all from any of those awful things we saw, might be a little contrast change or something like that. You're not going to get those spots. Those spots are much closer to your camera, if in fact not even your camera. So in your optical train, you have your camera, which has a sensor. In some cases, if you have a one-shot color camera like this one, then you're going to have a filter drawer, and there's a filter in there. That's got two surfaces that can get dust on it. And then you've got a focal reducer or field flattener or both. And that, in fact, can have, and it's got two surfaces that could actually collect dust. So this is where you're going to get your dust from and all those little spots. What you might see when they talk about flat field images and how you take care of those spots, the first thing you can do is to do flat frames. Flat frames, basically what you're doing is you're taking pictures of those optics. You're taking pictures of those things, and then you're going to take a bunch of them, you're going to stack them all up, and then you're going to actually subtract them in software. And so you don't have to worry about that. So if you do have dust bunnies and you're afraid to clean your optics, you can take care of it by doing flat frames. So where do those things actually start? Well, here's the sensor that you can see that is not clean. So this is where those things could start. So you need to obviously give that a cleaning. Otherwise, you will not ever get rid of those dust bunnies. Again, unless you want to do flats for everything that you do. There we go. And on the filters, which is if you have a filter wheel and you'll have a series of filters. The one I just showed you was just as one-shot color. But if you have like a monochromatic camera with a series of filters, let's say you put 7 filters, well, now you've got 14 surfaces that you can get dust from. And again, as well as the reducer and your sensor. So so that's where they can come from. So if you ever see those things, excuse me, those are the places you want to look. So what do you do to take care of it? You got to get in there and you got to clean that sensor. If you're going to own an astronomical camera, or if you're going to own a high-end DSLR or a mirrorless camera, you need to understand that you're going to occasionally have to clean your sensor. Most of the times, you're not actually cleaning the sensor, you're cleaning a piece of glass that's in front of it. So that should kind of take away some of the pain when you start to do this. But you don't go in there with a squeegee like this gal. There's a certain way to do it. I'm not going to get into how to clean sensors because there's a number of things on YouTube you can watch to show how to clean a sensor many different ways, and they're all very, very good. So that's one way to mitigate that kind of stuff, that you have to clean that sensor. And here's a before and after. So here's before the sensor was cleaned. So you can see all those spots all over it. And then somebody just said, okay, you know what? I'm going to clean that. They did. And now there's no spots anymore. So that's how they got rid of their dust bunnies. And so, see, I told you it wasn't a new planet. So I think that was all I had in there. There's the same picture that Mike just showed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So again, I'm going to stop sharing. So that's the thing. So the tip of the week is this. If you see spots on your image and it's astronomical, whether it be DSLR or an astro camera, don't be concerned about cleaning your lens on the front, because that's not where it's going to be. It's going to be somewhere in your imaging train. So if you're not using a flattener and you're just using a camera and that's all that's in there, then your chances are you're probably going to have to clean your sensor. If your lens is really filthy, clean it anyway, but it's not going to cause those little dust bunnies that we saw in those images.
Okay, thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
Harold says, I find dust bunnies on my camera sensor from working outside. Yep.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
And dust never sleeps. It's it's always there. So.
Okay, so let's go from there then. I guess I'll go to my first talk. We're moving on here. We're rate 22. We might run a little bit long again tonight, not short, because my talk is supposed to be astronomy in 5 minutes, but I think it's going to be astronomy in maybe 7.5 or 10 minutes. Because it's a little bit longer of a talk tonight. I'm still trying to get into the moon in motion part. Not sure if anybody's having any issues with sound. I guess Renat was hearing my fan running here from my PC that's sitting beside me, so I'm as far away from it as I can. What's that?
So that's what that noise was.
You can hear it now?
Well, it's just way in the background. I wouldn't worry about it.
All right, I'm far enough. As far away as I can be at the moment. Okay. Let's go to this guy. Oop. I want to do it this way. I'm going to let you guys see the screen though first. Let's go share first of all. I'm going to share this one.
Oh, that's bright.
Okay, now we can. Yeah, where are we? All right.
Looks like we're up.
Beginning. There now. Excuse me. I'll stop coughing now. Yeah, great. Okay. Here we go. So, astronomy in 5 minutes. Why can I not see my other menus? 1 second here. I get too many of them open. Just a sec. And I'm going to close that again in just a second. I'm going to try one more time. I had 2 or 3 of them open. No, that's the wrong one. Don't want that one.
Whoop, one more.
Hello. Hello.
There it is.
There it is. Okay, now we're ready. Okay, so astronomy in 5 or more minutes. Stargazing topics for beginners. Okay. We've been talking about our moon in motion, the different motions that our moon makes, many of them, over the last few weeks. The first week we talked about the moon's rotation. It's synchronous rotation, in other words, that it always gives us the same side, it's always facing us with the near side. Its elliptical orbit, the orbit that it takes, sometimes it's closer, sometimes it's farther away, perigee and apogee, and libration, basically the moon as it wobbles kind of like a top. This last week we talked all about the effect of the moon on our tides. This week we're going to talk about the phases of the moon and the changing distance to the moon. So in our entire solar system, the only object that shines with its own light is the sun. Now that light always beams onto Earth and Moon from the direction of the sun, illuminating half of our planet in its orbit and reflecting off the surface of the moon to create moonlight. Like Earth, the moon has a day side and a night side, which changes as the moon rotates. The sun always illuminates half of the moon while the other half remains dark. But how much we are able to see of that illuminated half changes as the moon travels through its orbit. Now there's a very simple method to explain this to your children or others. Take a styrofoam ball, put it on a stick, and use a source of light, either a lamp or a flashlight or some other focused light source that helps demonstrate the nature of the lunar phases very well. That works. So the moon orbits the Earth once every 27.322 days. It also takes about 27 days for the moon to rotate once on its own axis. The scientists call this synchronous rotation. The side of the moon that perpetually faces Earth is known as the near side. So no matter what phase we are viewing, we are always seeing the near side of the moon. Now in Western culture, we divide the lunar month into 4 primary and 4 intermediate moon phases. So we have the new moon, the waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning gibbous, third quarter, and a waning crescent. Now, on a new moon, we cannot see the moon at all when it's a new moon, just like it was yesterday when we had the solar eclipse. Waxing crescent is in the northern hemisphere. We see the waxing crescent phase as a thin crescent of light on the right, which is what we're going to see the next few days here, all those clear skies we get. First quarter moon is when we see the first quarter phase as a half moon. Waxing gibbous is waxing gibbous phase is between half moon and a full moon. Waxing means that it's getting bigger in our sky. Full, we can see the moon completely illuminated during full moons. A waning gibbous phase is between half a moon and full moon. Waning means it's getting smaller. Then we have the third quarter moon. We see the third quarter moon as a half moon too. It's the opposite half that's illuminated though this time in comparison to the first quarter moon. And then we have a waning crescent. In the northern hemisphere, we see the waning crescent phase as a thin crescent of light on the left. Earthshine is another thing that we get to see over these next few days and also at the other end of the cycle. Earthshine is a dull glow which lights up the unlit part of the moon because the sun's light reflects off Earth's surface and then back onto the moon. It's also sometimes called the ashen glow, the old moon in the new moon's arms, or the Da Vinci glow after Leonardo da Vinci, who explained the phenomenon for the first time in recorded history. Earthshine is best seen a few days before and after a new moon, right after sunset or before sunrise. Now, scientists studying global warming found that Earthshine is more intense in April and May. Since the light that generates Earthshine is reflected twice, once off the Earth's surface and then off the moon's surface, this light is much dimmer than the lit portion of the moon. So this part over here is what we're calling is Earthshine. Now the changing distance to the moon. And it's not moving away that fast, but a couple of weeks ago we looked at the changing distance to the moon throughout the normal lunar cycle, this perigee and apogee. Now in this discussion we're going to be looking at the increasing distance to the moon. It's easy to take the moon for granted, even on a clear night when it can light up the sky. It really feels as if it has always been there, just as it is now, throughout history, but that's not strictly true. It is thought that the moon was formed when a protoplanet about the size of Mars collided with the early Earth around about 4.5 billion years ago. The debris left over from the impact coalesced to form the moon. Now, computer simulations of such an impact are consistent with the Earth-Moon system we see in the 21st century. The simulations also imply that at the time of its formation, the moon sat much closer to Earth, a mere 22,500 kilometers or 14,000 miles away, compared with 250,000 miles or 400,000 kilometers between the Earth and the moon today. Now here's a sample. This was done up by Dr. Dr. James O'Donoghue, who worked for NASA, did NASA imagery. So let's take a look here. See the time up here in the corner, swinging back in time, of course. And that's about how big the moon would have appeared when it first formed. And there's the coming up the total distance. Now, the migration of the moon away from the Earth is mainly due to the action of Earth's tides. The moon is actually kept in orbit by the gravitational forces that the Earth exerts on it, but the moon also exerts a gravitational force on our planet, and this causes the movement of the Earth's oceans to form the tidal bulge. Due to the rotation of the Earth, this tidal bulge actually sits slightly ahead of the moon. Some of the energy of the spinning Earth gets transferred to the tidal bulge via friction, and this drives the bulge forward, keeping it ahead of the moon. Now, the tidal bulge feeds a small amount of energy into the moon, pushing it into a higher orbit, like the faster outside lanes on a test track. This phenomenon is similar to the experience one feels on a children's roundabout. The faster the roundabout spins, the stronger the feeling of being slung outwards. But the energy gained as the moon is pushed higher is balanced by a reduction in the energy of its motion. So an acceleration provided by the Earth's tides is actually slowing the moon down as it moves away from us at the rate of about 3.78 centimeters per year. Now, while 3.78 centimeters may not seem like much, this small difference over a long enough period of time could affect life on Earth, making the planet slow down. Now, on the early Earth, when the moon was newly formed, days were only 5 hours long. But with the moon's braking effect operating on the Earth for the last 4.5 billion years, days have now slowed to the 24 hours that we're familiar with now, and they will continue to slow down in the future. So how do we know how fast the moon is retreating? Well, we regularly measure the distance to the moon. This distance is routinely measured using LiDAR, which is light detection and ranging stations, which bounce laser pulses off the retroreflecting mirrors placed on the moon by the Apollo astronauts. So we measure the length of time it takes for that laser beam to go out to the moon and back again, and that tells us it's the exact distance to the moon. These are the reflectors that they left on the moon. Now, the moon does continue to spin away from us at, as I mentioned, at the rate of 3.78 centimeters per year, at about the same speed as which our fingernails grow. Now, without the moon, the Earth could slow down enough to become unstable, but this would take billions of years, and it may never happen at all. The human race has little to fear, though, at the present. By the time any change occurred, humans might have even generated technology that could speed up the Earth's rotation or transport us to some other part of the galaxy. So that's our talk on the moon. And so we talked all about the motion of the moon. The next week we're going to talk about these three things. Elongations, oppositions, and conjunctions. These are things that we hear a lot about maybe when we're reading articles about space or things that are happening in the news regarding space. But it'll be basically talking about planetary conjunctions, oppositions, and elongations. What do they mean, and why we should be paying attention to them. And that's it. This talk.
No dust bunnies on that lens.
No. Okay, voice is breaking again now with fan noise. Sounds good here. Too funny if you look at the moon, but the beige part looks like Trump. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we're back with our talk, the moon completed, and next week we'll talk about elongation and opposition and conjunctions. We did talk about conjunctions before. Junction, what's that function? That was it, yeah. Remember that one?
Yep.
You guys too old for that or too young for that? No?
That, and I'm just a Bill.
Yeah, I'm just a Bill, yeah. Just an ordinary Bill. And I'm sitting here in Capitol Hill.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, getting off topic here a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's go to Mike now. Let's do a Bino Bud, Mike.
Alrighty.
Let's go full screen.
Yeah, I think we're up.
We are up.
So, Binocular Tiger of the Week by Bino Bud this week is the Mini Orion. And it is.
Nice, Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really doesn't go with the rest of his attire, but that's okay. This asterism is composed of 7 stars that form a little constellation Orion. It is located near the star Deneb in Cygnus. Deneb is the tail of Cygnus the Swan. So where do I find it in the sky? If you went outside, 9 o'clock, I forgot to put the time in there, oriented yourself from about 285 degrees to the west, and looked up, you would see Cygnus and Deneb, because it's one of the 3 brighter stars in the northern triangle. And you just come down a little bit off the Deneb, and then probably in the same field of view with your binoculars, you will find the Mini Orion. So this is what it's going to look like. Now, I reoriented it so it kind of looks more like what we're looking for, but it actually has an orange star that kind of looks like Betelgeuse. Then you come over here and down through the belt, and then down here, and in the corner would be Rigel down here. So that's the stars that make up the Mini Orion, and actually it does look like it when you view it through binoculars. Now here's a picture taken of it. If you look up, this would be same place as Betelgeuse, and across, and then the belt, and then down to these last two stars that Rigel in the bottom corner. So you can see that there is kind of like a mini Orion constellation there. It's pretty cool to look at, but it is kind of small. So here's Deneb in the corner. And if you look for the Mini Orion, it would be right here. These two stars, there's the belt, these two stars. And that would make it up right there in the circle. So it's only about the size of a full moon in 10 by 50 binoculars. But it does stand out. When you look at it, you will see it and go, something that does look like a miniature Orion. That's pretty cool. So get your binoculars, get outside, take a quick peek, and look for the Mini Orion right beside Deneb. This one has inhospitable written all over it.
The lower it does too. Awesome.
And that's our Bino Target of the Week by Bino Bud.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Another good one to go after, folks. Need a clear sky. I keep pointing that out, but yeah, anyway.
When we get a clear sky.
Yeah. Paul, there was a question here. What are your tips from Paul Crowder? What are your tips on capturing an image of Comet Leonard giving clear skies?
Oh, what was the question? Sorry.
Can you comment on Paul Crowder had mentioned, hi Paul, what are your tips on capturing an image of Comet Leonard given clear skies?
Oh, well, it depends on how you want to capture it, I guess, and what you're using to capture it with. If you're going to try to take a shot of it with the DSLR through a telescope, there's a number of things you can do. If you want to just capture the comet itself, you can take 30, depending on what your tracking system is. So if you've got a system that's tracking the night sky, and you can get unguided subs of, say, I don't know, a minute or 2 minutes, take a series of those, and then you can stack them all together, and then you'll get an image. The comet's not moving that fast that, with the sake of 5 minutes or a little longer, you can get a lot of subs and still not have a lot of movement on the comet. Some people that are concerned about having movement on the comet will take a picture of like one picture to get the stars good, and then they'll take a whole long bunch of shots of the comet, and then just merge the two together using the stars as the single star shot as a star shot, and then the comet moving across the sky. So it depends on how long you want to take pictures of the comet. But if you're using a DSLR, the typical rule for most nighttime stuff is manual mode. You want to use it, shoot it in RAW, make sure that your focus is good and get your focus all set up. And if you're on a static tripod, depending on how wide your or how long your focal length is, because that's a small comet, so you're not going to see it in a 14-inch or 14 millimeter lens. You want something that's going to zoom in a little bit. 50 millimeters and up will probably see it. But I would certainly suggest something more powerful than that. If you can see it through a telescope, that's the best way to get it. And so if you can take your camera, put it into a telescope, and again, if it's a DSLR or a mirrorless, put it in the manual mode. Make sure that your ISO is relatively high, ISO. So if you want to put that in, start it at say 800 and then move on up from there, you have to take a couple of test shots to see how well it's going to work, and then go ahead and take 10-15 shots and stack them all up, and it should turn out to be a relatively clear image, I would guess. I haven't shot one in a while, but that's last time I shot one, that's the way I shot it.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Nikita's asking a question here. Nikita says, can she ask a question? Of course, Nikita, anytime. That's why we're here. Can you tell me why when Shatner went into space during the day, he said it was dark, it was so dark in space? Why would that be? Well, I guess all planets have an albedo, I'll call it, like a reflectance of the planet itself. And sunlight, of course, is hitting our atmosphere, so it's broken up into all the parts. So, but when you're above, where Shatner was, he was actually above the typical atmosphere. And when you are in space, it is black. Space is black between here and the next object. Sunlight would be hitting our planet. Of course, down here we're seeing it as bright daylight. But the higher you go, the darker it gets. So as you leave our atmosphere and get into an area where there is no atmosphere, or the atmosphere is very thin, looking up would be completely black for sure. So it's two things really, I guess. It's light reflecting off the surface, bouncing back up into our atmosphere that causes us to be bright, what they call the albedo effect. And secondly, it's sunlight itself that gets penetrated through our atmosphere. It's white light. That white light gets broken up in all the different colors. Blue is a shorter wavelength, so it scatters in our skies. That's why we have a nice bright blue sky. So if that helps so if you were in a rocket ship, Nikita, and you were going up with like the shuttle or any other spacecraft, the higher you go, the darker it's going to get until you get to a spot where it's just space, just like it is behind Paul. All that space between the stars is just black, empty space. And there are large areas in space, actually, in space itself, that are just completely black, like for light years across. And you wouldn't know what's up or down or left or right. These large voids, they call them, where they're actually void of any stars. And that would be a different thing. You could be traveling at the speed of light through these spaces, and you wouldn't know that you're even moving, basically, because it's all a reference to what you're looking at. So hopefully that answers your question, Nikita. Okay, so we're going to go from there to Paul's going to bring us up Rosanna's fun fact, right?
Okay.
And then we're going to go to what's up in space, or what's coming in space this week.
There's a number of articles that I was just kind of going through because I saw that question come up as well from Nikita. Mm-hmm. And you can go online and just type in, how black in space or why is it black in space. And some of these articles will actually get into a very detailed explanation as to why we're seeing or why you see black out there. And a lot of it's what they call a Doppler effect. Like same if you see, say, an ambulance going by and the further it gets away, the siren goes, starts to go away. A lot of that light is actually going the other way when you're in space too. So but it's a very long explanation to try to simplify it. So if you read a couple of those articles, just look them up like I was mentioning. And there's a whole bunch of them that'll come right up, and a lot of them are from NASA. So you'll get some very, very good information there.
Great, thanks, Paul. There you go, Nikita. Okay, so let's go from there to Rosanna's fun fact.
All right.
Are we ready?
All right. So let's see if we can get this to work, and I think we can. And this is this week's
Rosanna's fun fact.
Yay! Hey, Rosanna, welcome back again to another wonderful episode of Rosanna's Fun Facts. And she's always so timely, and again with this one this week. And this one is really interesting. They all are, but this one's really cool. And there's some really, really neat stuff. So I'm going to jump right into this particular segment. So Rosanna writes, as Omicron news spreads, so does fake news. And with more and more surprising info crossing our screens, the ease of communication with social media does make the contagion factor, a weirdness, easier to spread, just like the world travel makes the virus easier to spread. But bizarre controversies have always been human nature. So this vaccination monster is from 1802. Now let's see if I can get this thing to roll right. There he is. I love it. But a much longer standing controversy between believers on both sides would be the eternal question, are we alone, or there or are there even here on Earth? So artists for centuries have tackled this, or have they? So the 15th century painting, let me just make that a little bigger, of Madonna with a child is presented by a ufologist. And she says, okay, I did not know this was a real word until I read the article from the UK edition of The Sun as proof of alien visits to Earth. In the top right of the painting, a strange disc-like object. And on the other side, in the top right, an odd creature with tentacles can be seen. This has convinced many humans into becoming alien believers. Now I'm going to shrink that down again so we can move to the next one. So going back to even further to the 11th century, we have a fresco painted of a cathedral in George that appears to have UFOs. Art historians have explanations for each unusual object, usually suggesting they represent a guardian angel, like in fresco. Now, do you see the alien face in Leonardo da Vinci's St. John the Baptist? Let me just make that bigger. I think some say they might.
Oh, man.
This is only after a filter was applied, and personally, I see an elephant. One of those decorated and celebrated elephants from the Elephant Festival in India. This, if deliberate by the artist, is called a trompe l'oeil, pronounced trompe-l'oeil, a trick of the eye, which many artists employed in their work, and they still do. But since this is only seen after a filter was applied, a filter that Da Vinci did not possess, I suspect it was just like when we look at clouds or the moon, our brain's eye resolves. Let me just put that back down there. Oh, not quite small enough. Our brain's eye resolve unknown images into something known. I see a tree. I see a rabbit. I see hosted private cloud with micro segmentation. Yeah. So the next painting by Flemish artist Erik de Gelder, painted around 1710, is considered to be one of the most convincing. Was it fake news from a believer, or could there be astronomical connection? Is it written that the clouds parted, as they often do, and the sun rays shone through, just as the baptism was taking place? What the artist was imagining or trying to represent, taking place in that moment of history, we'll never know. So I had to throw this next one in, just because it had the most gruesome badass, no pun intended, devil in it, or an alien, as some insist. This is a picture of of Saint Wolfgang tricking the devil, or whatever it is. But either way, I don't want it on my wall, not even in my garage. Okay, now these paintings and many more have elements of possible alien existence, right up to this sculpture on the side of a cathedral in Spain. But don't be tricked. It was created in a restoration in 1992. I suspect this could have startled or fool a tourist who was unaware of the joke. Do you see what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let me just shrink that down. So whichever side of whichever fence you jump over, there is endless intrigue on the planet Earth and forever in the universe. Our exclusive line is available now. Closed encounters.
Oh, man.
Oh, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. And that was this week's
Rosanna's Fun Fact.
Yay!
Thank you so much,
so
Rosanna.
cool.
That was entertaining as usual.
As always. Thank you.
Oh, cool.
Thank you, Rosanna. Awesome. Yeah, that one with the astronaut. I was going to mention that because, but it was made in 1992. So yeah.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, when they were painting those paintings, they just went, you know something, we're going to mess somebody up someday and put something up.
But the
Somebody
logic
painted the dust bunny.
And all those shows of Bob Ross, I didn't learn any of that, right? So
I think we're going to paint that. I think we can use
nice
that
little
color.
tree there. Happy little tree. A happy little UFO.
Awesome. Thanks, Rosanna.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Rosanna.
As usual.
Again, awesome.
Absolutely, that's great.
Appreciate it. Okay, let's go from there to what's up in the sky this week, because we're getting into 8:51 now, so we got a little bit of time for that, and then we have a few photos to show. So I got to share my screen first of all. And we'll take a look at what's up this week, hopefully.
Yes, there it is.
Okay, all right, let's get moving here. What's up in the sky this week besides clouds? Not a whole lot. I'll bring up all these things, but I can't control the weather, so let's just see where we are. Okay, so tomorrow, Io in its shadow transit across Jupiter. Jupiter's moon Io and its shadow will transit across the planet's face on Monday evening. Io will begin its transit at 1958 and end at 2214. Io's shadow will follow at 2113. That's quite a difference in time, isn't it? From 1958 to 2113 before the shadow comes along. But Jupiter will set before it has completely transited the planet, so we won't get the chance to see the whole thing. But there's been a lot of these this summer, and there is every time that we've got Jupiter in its location where it is now too. So we've experienced quite a few of these, but they're always nice to see. It's a little harder to see the planet against Jupiter, but you can, depending on where its location is. And secondly, the shadows though are always pretty visible. All right, again on Monday, our moon visits Venus. Now Monday evening, our moon visits brilliant Venus in the southwestern sky. Venus is near its brightest right now. It appears at its brightest about 35 days before inferior conjunction. So that means when it becomes between us and the sun. Now that date is January the 8th. That's when that's going to happen. So about 35 days back from that is December the 5th, roughly. So right around now, the week before or after, is when Venus is at its brightest. So you get to see this really bright object out in the southwestern sky. And tomorrow evening, the little thin crescent moon will be sitting just below it. So beautiful time for a photo right there. Or you probably get them both in the field of view of binoculars even. Now, Tuesday, the moon visits Saturn. Tuesday evening, our moon greets the ringed beauty Saturn in the south-southwest sky. So just below Saturn is the moon, and Venus and Jupiter are all in the same shot here. So still a beautiful sight in our evening sky right now. And then, of course, on Wednesday evening, our moon pays a visit to the giant planet Jupiter and its Galilean moons. So be sure to check them both out with binoculars. Try binoculars on the moon. You'll be really impressed in what the view you'll get. And depending on where the moons are around Jupiter, you'll be able to see at least a couple of moons when you're looking through binoculars at it. On Thursday night, the moon leads the parade. So Thursday evening, our moon leads the parade of planets in the southwestern sky. I concentrate a lot on what's happening in the solar system, not on other objects, but we will be looking at something else here shortly. Friday evening, we have a double shadow for a very brief time. So there will be a rare double shadow transit visible on Jupiter for just a few minutes on Friday night from 1813 to 1816, so only 3 minutes long. As the shadow from Europa's moon begins its transit across Jupiter, and the shadow from Callisto's moon will finish its transit. So that's pretty rare to have them on either side of Jupiter like that as well. Also, on Friday night, one of Jupiter's Galilean moons, Europa, will transit across the face of Jupiter on Friday night, dragging its shadow behind it. So that's what we saw earlier there, but we won't get a chance to see the total transit of Europa because Jupiter's position, but we will be able to see the complete shadow transit. And now all week, of course, Comet A1 Leonard. At its best for us right now because it's going to be setting very soon. By the end of the week, next week, it'll be out of our morning sky altogether. It'll start to pop around into our evening sky, but very, very low in the southwestern part of the sky, just after sunset, so it might be difficult to pick out. Anyway, Comet A1 Leonard, our Christmas comet, we've been calling it, is steadily brightening. Now at about magnitude 6.5 right now, almost 3 times brighter than it was just a few days ago. Now the lower number, the brighter the object, but still, because it's a comet, it's diffused, so it has it's spread out a lot. So that light that's given off from the comet tends to, it's not a pinpoint of light. In other words, it's spread out over larger distance, so it may not be as bright as 6.5. It will make a quick plunge toward the eastern horizon over the next week or so in the morning sky, hopefully brightening to naked eye view before it starts to appear extremely low in our very early evening sky beginning around December the 11th. Now, that's only going to last for about a week or so, I guess it's about 10 days. It looks like the southern hemisphere observers will get the best show this time, but it's worth watching it for this week for sure. The best time is really between 5 and 6 a.m. when the comet should be at its highest. With the current forecast, it appears that we'll have to wait till early Saturday morning for a peak locally, but if you're out trying, good luck, and please share any captures here so we might all enjoy them. This diagram is provided by Scott Young. Thanks, Scott. Friday, December 10th as well, we get the first quarter moon. Our moon reaches its first quarter phase on Friday. Always a wonder in the evening sky. The moon at first quarter offers many beautiful treasures, especially the huge craters that become very distinct along that line that we call the Terminator, which just separates day and night on the moon right there. From December the 4th to December the 17th, we have another meteor shower coming. Now it's going to peak on the 13th and 14th. That would be a talk for next week, but wanted to bring it up now because the meteor shower has already started. So the Geminid meteor shower has already started, but although the peak won't happen until then, the Geminids are the result of our planet passing through a stream of dust particles that was left behind by an asteroid, actually this time, known as 3200 Pantheon. Though this year, our sky will be hampered by a waxing gibbous moon, so a fairly large moon in the sky, which means that the moon won't set until about 3:20 a.m. on the 14th. That still allows, though, a couple of hours of darkness before sunrise, so you still might have a good opportunity, and at that time, Gemini is still fairly high in the sky. How to best see the meteor shower? Well, find a darker site if possible, away from city lights. The moon will interfere this year, so it's not necessary to get to a really dark spot. But if you do plan on staying very late, the moon will set around 3 a.m., so that'll give you some dark sky. Bring along a comfortable chair. Bring along a blanket, a warm beverage, a set of binoculars if you have them, and a friend or family member to share the experience with you and to help you scan the sky. Use the binoculars not for spotting them, but to help glance around the sky while you're trying to take your mind off the temperature, mostly, because you've got lots of other things to take a look at as well. Although the radiant is near Gemini in the southwest, meteors can appear from all directions. It's usually best to scan the entire sky if possible. So take a look all around. If you plan on photography, set for several second exposure over many captures, because you never know when they're going to happen. So what we've done, Mike, Paul, and I guess at the beach every once in a while, is when you've set up for that, you take a 10-second exposure, you take another 10-second, another 10-second, and hopefully over the period of the evening, you might get one or two that are passing through your shot. So be patient as well. Celestial events happen on their time, not on yours. So, and again, we go back to Lisa's lookup, what to look up for in December. So Lisa has put this chart up on her Facebook page. Lisa's lookup, it's called. She lists all of the events that come up through the month of December, all the times that they're going to be at their peak, and if you can see them with naked eye, binoculars, or telescope. There they all are listed. So she actually has Comet Leonard here highlighted in red in several spots as well. So thank you, Lisa, for that. And you can follow Lisa at Ruby Moonbeams on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And that's our look at what's going to be up in the sky this week.
Chris, can I go back to that person was asking about taking a picture of a comet?
Oh, yes.
I just wanted to share my screen just for a moment because I want to show something that I think
stop presenting.
that'll be very helpful for anybody wanting to shoot a comet.
Sure.
So I want to show you an image that was posted by someone who shot the comet that we're talking about, and just recently, and they posted all of their settings for the camera and the type of stuff they use. So I just want to show you what it would look like by using this. So this particular shot was taking Leonard and just passing M3, which was the most popular of the shots that the Comet has been taken so far. So what this person used was a DSLR. They used the ISO 200, and their lens was down to f2.5. So they had a camera lens that they opened up quite wide. The lens itself was 135 millimeter focal length. So it's 135 mil. So it brought it in okay, but if you look at the image, like I said, it's not big. So if you have, like a 300 millimeter, you're going to see, a lot more detail on that comet. Or again, if you have a refracting telescope or, something along those lines, it'll look a little different. But this is how he captured it. He was using a Skywatcher Star Adventure, and he took, I think it was 51 35-second shots. And he just basically stacked them all together. And that's essentially what he ended up with. So again, it was ISO 200, obviously in manual. When he used the lens, he opened the lens up probably as wide as it went, or almost as wide as it'll go. And he used, again, a Rokinon 135 millimeter lens in that. And right down here, so this was shot in Bortle Sky 9, so it was a high Bortle Sky. So ISO 200, f2.5 with an unmodified D5300, which was a Nikon, and a Rokinon 125 millimeter lens tracking on an SWSA, which means Skywatcher Star Adventure tracking mount. And basically that's it. So you can look that up just on, if you look up on right there, it's on reddit.com, and there's a whole bunch of these that'll come up. You can look at the different ones. But if you're using, a camera on a tracker, this is the type of thing that you can do with a 135 millimeter lens.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. That was for Paul Crowder there from the UK. Thanks for that.
Okay.
Appreciate that. Okay, we're going to get to a few photos right now. Jamie said, I did manage to catch the comet this morning right before the clouds rolled in. Awesome, Jamie. Good to hear. Bridget says, I can't believe that before I got interested in the night sky, I didn't wonder what I was looking at when I was used to seeing Venus. It's so hard to overlook now. For sure it is. Nikita asks, speaking of which, what are your thoughts on this? Do you guys think that we're the only intelligent or dumber life out there? Nikita, I've been asked that many, many times. I can't believe that we're the only form of life. If it's intelligent life or not, hard to say, but you've got 100 billion stars in our galaxy alone, 100 to 200 billion. We know now that there's at least one planet around every star that we've seen so far. So that gives us 100 billion planets in just our solar system, or just our galaxy, sorry. And there are about 2 trillion galaxies. So put the odds together, everything that you're made up of, the oxygen you're breathing and the carbon in your bones, and all came from out there. So and the most abundant elements that exist around us are hydrogen and helium, and they are abundant out in the universe as well. So is water. Water is that mix that brings everything, the soup that brings everything together. So yeah, to me, I can't believe that there's not some other type of life. And we may not ever know that it's there. We may, there are civilizations that can rise and fall, and we may be listening, but we may be listening at the wrong time, or listening in the wrong direction.
If I may, I look at it from a different perspective. They ask about intelligent life out there, right? Mm-hmm. We're not intelligent enough to find it.
Yeah.
So it's probably out there, but what makes us think we're intelligent? Well, we're not intelligent enough to find life. So it's maybe a question.
It's a discussion too about what, like some type of consciousness. I mean, we can actually look back at the universe now, where we may be one of the few species that have ever been able to look back at the universe and understand a bit about where we came from. Right. So that's what when I look at that, that's what I think about intelligent life, a life form that can look back at the universe and understand where they came from. To me,
and we don't understand where we came from.
Yeah, and that's based on us looking for life as we know it.
That's right.
And there could be other forms of life out there that we have no concept of.
You watch every Star Trek show, we're all bipedal aliens.
Yeah. I mean, there were a lot of
Greenland and the Klingons are hot. What can you do?
there were a lot of things that had to happen to bring life here on this planet.
I'll tell you, that's a whole subject that would drag us down the road for hours talking about
And
her.
we're at 9:06, so we don't have that time. Okay, let's move ahead to some
Good
photos.
question, nonetheless.
Yes, it was. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Keep the questions
Everyone
coming.
asks it. Everybody asks it.
Inquisitive minds. That's what we like. Okay, we have some photos to share tonight. Not a whole pile, but some at least, which is nice. Okay, so give me a second. I'll get these shared up here. And not a pile because we've had such bad weather. Oh, the weather's been terrible. And
Yeah,
even this
pretty
coming week looks really bad as well again. So. Okay, so let's take a look at what we got. I gotta bring the screen over here. There we go. So we've got a photo here from Lisa Fanning.
No, we have your Earthshine on waning crescent moon.
That's the photo. Yep.
Oh, that is it. Sorry. I
Yeah.
apologize.
Sorry, I'm using the new.
It's scientific. I thought it was one of your things.
Yeah. No, I'm actually
Congratulations.
using a new program that was offered to me here.
Fantastic. That's even
Yeah.
better.
So Lisa says, "Good morning, Chris. I was out this morning with a surprise clear morning. This is a little while ago. Yay for the wrong weather people. I had a really brief look at the comet, but lost it in light pollution from my street lights. So I didn't get to study it as I wanted. I did have a great look at Earthshine, though, however, and snap some photos. One of my favorites. Awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Nice shot.
Yeah.
Back in
Like I
December.
said, I thought it was something that Chris grabbed offline. Great job, Lisa.
Yeah. We got this one from Brad Perry, though. Brad says, "Good morning, Chris. I just wanted to share this photo of Comet Leonard I captured this morning. Finally had a clear sky. It's at 5:15 a.m. in Durham Bridge, New Brunswick. That was yesterday, I believe. A Sony A6000, 135mm f2.3, 120 light frames, 60 dark frames at 1 second each. No star tracker. What can you do?" he says. Hoping for more opportunities before it leaves our view. So good stuff, Brad.
Capture.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah, very
Very
nice.
nice.
I mean, it is a diffused comet. It's not. I mean, it's no Neowise for sure. But it's still nice to be able to catch one and knowing that this thing's 30,000 years. Was it the 30,000 years orbit, something like that? Maybe it's 80,000 years. Anyway, we're not going to get to see it again in our lifetime.
Yeah.
I won't be here.
Yeah, I won't either.
Oh,
Get this one from Kathy Adams. Kathy said, "Just a couple of shots this week. The sun is still up there." Big smiley face. Yep, sure is.
Nice.
I shot the sun November 30th using my Celestron 6SE with the solar filter and Celestron reducer corrector and my Sony A6000.
Excellent.
Well done.
that's look at the activity we're starting to see.
Yeah,
Eh?
isn't it nice,
Yeah.
huh?
Oh man.
Yeah, more opportunity for aurora. I know there is going to be aurora coming. I know, I can feel it.
And clouds to go with it.
Yeah, easy now.
Stefan says it's 40,000 years.
Thank you, Stefan. 40,000 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still a long time. Still probably going to
yeah.
miss the next one for sure.
I think we'll miss it. Yeah.
Yeah. From there, we're going to look at Kathy's photo of the Pleiades. The Pleiades I shot with my Sony A6500 and my Sony 70 to 350 millimeter lens at 269 millimeter, ISO 6400, f6.3, 4-second exposure. It was a funny clear night. The visibility seemed good, but there definitely was moisture in the air. This was the last shot I took. With it, I waited until the Pleiades were higher in the sky. I either had a hint of blue nebulosity or the moisture in the air was bouncing back blue. The inevitable clouds moved in right after, though.
I think it's a combination of both.
I think it is too.
Yeah.
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 Looks great.
Oh
Pleiades
yeah.
Nebula and Funny Nebula.
Yeah.
Good shot.
And this is the last picture is just my winter setup for imaging that mysterious big yellow ball up in the sky, which seems to appear only once in a while these days. Yeah.
That's why everything's looking blue and cold. Excellent.
Good stuff. Thanks, Kathy, for those.
Nice.
Okay, next we're going to go to Jeff Legier. Jeff says he captured a cluster of stars near M33 using his Celestron Omni XLT 150. The grouping contained HIP 7969 with its neighbors 7946 and the few listed only as star 8096, 8122, and 8086. I was waiting for clouds to pass and got a decent 25-second exposure on my cell phone, but man, it was cold here, he said. Minus 12. Yeah. Yeah, the skies are clear, but it's cold.
That would make a nice final bud target, the letter D.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the skies get cold. Your gear cools down quicker, which is a good thing, but you're not going to be out there very long for sure.
No.
Thanks, Jeff, for that. We got this one from Jamie. Jamie Why Not says, hi, Chris, I captured the neat alignment of the planets last night with my iPhone. Fingers crossed for more clear skies. So there you go.
Very
That's
nice.
what they're looking like. I mean, they've been like that now for, what, months, eh?
It's been a while, yeah. You know what? Tonight, if I could just briefly, I was out doing an outside Christmas concert, and we were facing where the sun set.
Right?
And while we were playing, I was able to see Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, and that thin crescent moon.
Very thin, yeah.
And I'm sitting there going to myself, oh, how can I get off the stage?
Yeah, you got to get your priorities straight.
It was the most amazing thing. If you've never seen that,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, and I think Jamie brought up a photo of the crescent moon here, so she got this.
there it is.
Yeah,
And the slipper.
I was able to capture the 3.5% crescent moon tonight around 5 p.m. with my binos and
Yep.
with my iPhone. She said.
Very nice.
And that's what it looked like. It was just like right over the horizon,
Yeah. Beautiful.
and just a very light cloud around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the moon when it's at that
thrilling.
phase. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now tomorrow night's gonna be real nice too. We're gonna have a nice, little bit larger crescent moon, but hanging right below Venus. Easy to pick out for sure.
Beautiful.
Okay, from there we're going to go to Matthew Dupre's shot here. This was one of my best pictures of the moon, he says. It's a composite image to expose both sides. I processed it in Photoshop. That is a fantastic image, sir.
Excellent.
Matthew.
Well
Yeah.
done.
Well done. You can zoom in on that one a little bit there too. So
There we go.
I
Yeah,
like that. That's cool.
that's fantastic.
look at the detail, eh? Right
Yeah.
along that terminator. So much, and look at the mountain range.
Oh yeah, looks great.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Again in color too.
And the color too. Yeah, I mean, there is color in the moon. When you look at the moon, you don't think of color, but there's lots there.
That's fantastic.
Okay, and I went robbing through astro imaging tutorial pages looking for photos, and I caught this one from Robert, actually. Robert Godet. He said, looking towards Black's Harbor from my yard, he said, tonight, beautiful Venus shining brightly. He said, if this doesn't look like a Christmas scene, I don't know what does. Yeah. Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah,
That's cool.
good job.
Very nice.
Thanks, Robert.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying thanks, but I just took it anyway, so. And he
Well,
said, hey,
Yeah.
and he said, I got it. This is a very quick edit and crop. I thought it was closer to Arcturus. Comet Leonard, not bad for a Canon T7i. He said 50mm f1.8, cheap tripod without any guiding or calibration frame. So there you go, you caught it.
You got
I'm jealous.
it. Yeah.
All these people catching it, yeah. This one was from Alan Burgess. He said, I reprocessed the Horsehead Nebula again tonight. I took my time, used a process from Sean Nielsen, Visible Dark, making a synthetic luminance from OSC to bring out a little more detail. I think it looks a lot better than the first one. Love processing, but hate it also, he said. I never know when I'm done. Yeah, for sure. I
Beautiful
think you're
shot.
done there. That one,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
fantastic job.
That's
Really, really
unbelievable,
nice.
the quality you can get.
Yeah,
this
and
magazine
he's shooting
there.
a hyperstar.
Yeah.
So like shooting like an f2. That's a nice job.
Yeah, well done.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Lisa got the comment as well. Stop it.
Yeah,
You people stop it.
Wow.
So she says, Lisa, at December 5th at 5:30 a.m. Eastern Time from Central New Jersey. She's an iPhone 11 through a Celestron Nexstar Evolution 8 and a 32mm eyepiece. Well done, Lisa.
Nice,
There it
very nice. Yep,
These are history moments, so you get to keep these, you know.
yep, exactly.
And we got this one from Mr. Paul Crowder from the UK. Hang on a second. I'm going to bring this one up a little higher so everybody can see this one. Now, this is
A
kind
cool
of...
cloud identification chart. This is
That's
awesome.
definitely here.
card,
That's
so-
definitely here.
There's your 0.7 reducer sky.
Yeah.
There's your new field flattener sky, your new astro camera sky, new
Yeah.
eyepiece, new dew shield, new guide cam, new carrying bag, new dew heater, new ASI air, new filter wheel, new Barlow, new IR filter, and next day early work day. That's me. Yeah.
It's
Well
so
done.
true.
Yeah, thanks, Paul, for that.
That's perfect.
And that's all of our photos for this evening. So, I'd say we're pretty well at the end of our program tonight.
Yeah. Nice photos, everybody.
Get
Those
this
are
out of
great.
the
Yeah,
way.
well done.
Get this out of the way.
I'd like to be able to get out and shoot.
Huh? What's that?
I'd just like to be able to get out and shoot.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so next week we're going to be talking another 6 topics, and we will. I got to get this menu up in the right spot. There we go. Here's where I want that window. I get 6 screens here. I'm trying to get it on the right screen. There we go. Okay. I think it's on the right one. Okay, so anyway, so in closing then tonight, again, our special thanks once again for your continued support, everybody. We hope you enjoyed our new format, and that you'll be continuing to provide us with feedback. We did this format too. We talked about this earlier tonight before the show started. That doing these formats and getting them ready ahead of time. And if we do happen to have a clear sky, we did start this program to offer deep sky objects live. if we even remember doing that, but we can prepare a program, have it ready, and then if all of a sudden the sky is going to clear up and we want to go back to that, so you can let us know if that's what you'd like us to do sometime as well, to maybe offer a clear sky view instead of the talks that we give. These were for cloudy nights. We've had all cloudy nights almost, so we've talked these talks, but this way here we can prepare talks ahead of time, and it gets us a chance to look at deep sky objects as well. And we're going to bring on some special guests are going to be coming on too, hopefully soon, so they'll take away some of the segments. So the format is working pretty good, I think, for all of us right now, so we're going to continue with this format for now.
Someone's asking about that shoot the moon contest, Chris.
Oh, the contest, yeah. So you know something, I gotta wait on this one because I'm looking at the current forecast, and the next 7 out of 10 days are cloud and rain.
Yeah.
So if I don't go ahead with the contest, I'll let people know, and I might save it for January. I'm not going to put a contest out and have 4 or 5 or 6 entries, just because people can't get out and observe. So I'm going to take another hard look at the weather. If it is a go, then I'll post by tomorrow night that it's a go. So, okay, fair enough. Great. So I wanted to thank again for your feedback, and also special thanks, of course, to Rosanna for her continued contributions to our show. We really do appreciate all your efforts out there in helping us put on the show. Also like to thank all those who share our program with others. That means a whole lot to us, sharing this program as much as you can. It takes us a lot to put this program together, so the more you share it, the more we can get it out to a bigger audience. So we really do appreciate that, including our faithful sharers, Trudy Allman and MV Storm and Weather Center and Lisa's Lookup and everybody else out there who shares it for us, Brad and everybody. Remember too, we do love getting your photos, so send them into Sunday Night Astronomy Show at gmail.com, or send them into SNAS at astronomybythebay.ca, or just put them on my Facebook page and I pick them up from there as well. We're also looking for suggestions for topics for future shows. So if you have, we know our 6 topics now. If you have something that you'd like us to talk about in one of those topics, let us know. And please let your family and friends know as well that we are here every Sunday night at the same time to help educate and entertain you a bit on the night sky. So for now then, from Mike and Paul and I, stay safe everybody out there. We wish you all clear skies, and we hope to see you here again next week. And as we like to say, guys, keep your scopes.
Hold it
Light
up.
up. Good night, everybody. Thank you. Cue the music. There we go. And it's bobblehead time.
Much coffee.
Later,